Hey crew, what up? Taylor Welch here. Have you ever wondered how traffic and funnels grew so fast? I mean, 4 years ago, the company was nothing. Nobody knew who we were. We didn't have any revenue, no clients, no products, no content. And we noticed really quickly that we had something special, but it's not just that Chris and Taylor are special. There are processes, recipes, concepts, materials, foundational strategies that have allowed us to go from 0 to 8 figures in about 3.5 years. And one of the things we do that's really cool, and I think it's really fun for a lot of our clients, is we publish our learning lessons every single month. It's about 8 to 10 pages. In fact, the most recent one was a little bit longer. We talk about how to hire, how to find people, how to run advertising, our recent marketing tactics, some of our strategies for sales. We cover every element of how to grow a healthy, predictable, successful, and most importantly, growing client business. And people rave about this. We've got almost 6,000 people subscribe to this every single month. And we'll actually ship it to you, maybe your office, your home, wherever you tell us to ship it to you. And every single month, we include some extra perks to it, sometimes audio content, sometimes some video content. It's one of the best programs that you can be in, I think, in the world if you run a client business. And the best part is it's very, very affordable. We've tried to price this at a level that anybody can be a part of it who needs it and who wants it. So you can check it out at trafficandfunnels.com/IAM. IAM, basically Insiders Access Monthly, IAM, trafficandfunnels.com/IAM. We'll send you out the first package as soon as you hop in. And I'm telling you, this is one of the most fantastic ways that you can learn from the mistakes and the growth curves of other people. Check it out. Let us know what you think. Talk soon.
You're listening to the Traffic and Funnels Show, the best show on the planet for client businesses to learn about traffic, funnels, sales, and conversions. Chris and Taylor are the founders of Traffic and Funnels, a digital marketing consultancy helping you get paid clients from cold traffic daily. Now, here are your hosts, Chris and Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Traffic and Funnel Show. Here with your hosts, Chris Evans and Taylor Welch.
Unbelievable.
Hey, it must be nice to have a really fancy studio.
Yeah, I tell this story all the time.
People can see me because it's so bright because I don't have window shades.
It must be nice. I was telling people here, October 1st, we came to look at these offices. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, 7 months. We went to look at the Charlotte office.
In on April.
Okay, 6 months. We went and looked at the Charlotte office on it was July 30th, and we moved in the 10th of August. So don't talk to me about must be nice, big dog. You get everything you want as soon as you want it, and I have to wait for things.
Bro, how do you think this company is growing so fast?
Unbelievable.
All right, so what are we talking about in this podcast episode? I thought we were going to talk about book recommendations.
Book recommendations. Okay, I'll go first. My favorite book right now, see, intelligent advertising. No, I'm just kidding. My favorite book right now is a book called The Road Less Stupid. It's by a guy named Keith Cunningham. I've recommended this book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. It'll go on the shelf as one that I reread and reread. It's a book about thinking, how to think about business. It's really good. Your turn.
Hall of Fame. So I believe you can get this from AWAI. Greatest selling ideas from 50 super successful direct mail letters and direct response ads. So these are top producing promos that have produced millions and millions of dollars. And in this book, there are sales letters that are being broken down by John Ford, who is a top copywriter. Now that's going to lead to my next book, which I'll leave for after Taylor's next book. But to become an amazing marketer, to become an amazing media buyer, to become an amazing copywriter, you have to study other amazing marketers. You have to study other amazing promos. This book, you have them all right here.
All right, my third book, you ready? By a guy who is worth, last I checked, $16 billion. It's a lot of money. It's a book called Principles by a guy named Ray Dalio. You know what's interesting? It's funny how our top books reflect our styles of thinking and learning. Because Chris, you love to study just the dirty copywriting in the trenches, like
Why are you calling it dirty?
tactical, like, and you study strategy too, but when I was at Chris's office last week, we call it an office, it was like a tent in Charlotte, and he had some books.
Oh my God. The disrespect that is
So when I was in the room that Chris is in with the chair, the books you had was like, you had the Pennsylvania thing, you had Ready, Fire, Aim, that was laying out.
Yeah.
Saw the copy stuff.
Yeah.
Principles by Ray Dalio is another, it's probably one of my, it might be above Road Less Stupid, but I've read it several times. And this guy talks about his principles that he's used for making decisions over the past 30 years. The $16 billion, you find somebody who is worth that much money and they write a book, buy the book, read it. So top one is The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. Second one, Principles by Ray Dalio. All right, bro, you're up.
Number 3, great leads. The 6 easiest ways to start any sales message. Whether you are writing copy for an ad, for an email, for a sales page, for a webinar, this is really foundational that I think every marketer should read.
That is
now,
so good.
Written by Michael Masterson, aka Mark Ford, and John Ford, not related. 2 killer marketers.
What's your third one? Give us your bonus.
Well, you ruined it, bro. You already gave it.
Was it Ready, Fire, Aim?
Yes, by Mr. Michael Masterson. What about your third book?
Okay, if I had to pick a third book, for where I am right now, I would probably say the 80-20 Principle by Mr. Kosh. I'm thinking books,
fantastic.
I'm trying to think books that I go back to again and again. I don't know if you guys have the app Goodreads, but it gives you can set goals for how many books you want to read. And man, I was just like trying to read as many books as possible. And I have changed to like, what are the books that I can go back to again and again? Every time I read them, it's something different. Every time I read them, the things that I highlighted a year ago are still really impactful, but in different areas of my life. Principles is one of those books. I would say 80-20 Principle is another one where it's like every time I pick it up, I can go to the last quarter of the book and it just revolutionizes what I'm doing. And he's a very wealthy man.
Yeah.
He is several $100 million of net worth in the last few years from working like 2 hours a day. That's from nothing. That's from like a $20,000 investment. It's pretty crazy how he's been able to do what he's done.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
That's interesting because I think for a learning lesson, it kind of leads into that based on that principle. It's like, how is it that guys like Richard Koch can accomplish that? Right? Is he really that much smarter? Or has he discovered how to leverage people and processes better than we have?
Or is he just a better thinker? Because you can have a smart person who's a bad thinker, and you can have a person who's not quite as smart, but they're a more effective thinker. I think people
What do you mean by that?
People think that knowledge, like everybody wants to talk about how knowledge and information and everything, but you have to do something with that knowledge. If you don't, like I see a lot of great entrepreneurs, a lot of talented people who have a lot of courses and they've gone through a lot of programs, but they go 90 miles an hour. They never pause to think about what they want. They never pause to think about what they don't want. They never stop to think about what are the impacts of this on my family? What are the impacts of inaction on my family? They never think about the right things. If you have the greatest book in the world, but you never pause to think about application, the information is meaningless. And so information without that application, that's an issue of thinking. So I'm like, when you read The Road Less Stupid, you realize here's a guy who has a couple $100 million in real estate, and he's got 18 businesses, and here's a guy who has learned how to think well, and that is the most important. You can take somebody who has less knowledge, less information, less experience, but they can think and they can process what's the application of this lesson. Those people will make more money, they'll live longer, they'll be happier in the long run than the person who's got the greatest product knowledge. They went through all the schools, they've got the MBA, but they never actually think about anything.
Yeah, I'd say one way to look at it is identifying the best problems to solve, the most important problems to solve.
Every once in a while, dude, out of left field, Chris will throw a fastball.
I'll throw something.
It's like, whoa, you have to catch that fastball.
All right, like we all have problems to solve, whether it's when am I going to cut my grass or how do I make $1 million this month?
Yeah.
we all get to choose which problems we solve. I think the majority of people is they choose the little problems. They choose the small, but really, I mean, that comes down to, it probably is like 80-20. That's how these high level guys think. They're not thinking, okay, how do I do 20 grand in revenue this month? They're thinking, how do I do $5 million in revenue this month? Yeah. And how we are constructed as human beings, you know, our brain will go through the process to figure out that problem. And I think that's one of the learning points for me is being able to train and get our team and the people in our company and our clients to a place where they are able to think through those high level problems themselves. Because that's where really the opportunity is. I can't pull all the weight of our company. You can't pull all the weight. And so we have to be able to get our team, the people that are involved with us, if we want to hit our goals, they have to be able to think high level. They have to think through big problems, not minor little problems, but the big problems. Like, how do we get 100,000 listeners a month in the podcast?
Yeah, 100%. I remember 2 years ago when every night before I went to bed, I would write down in my journal before I went to bed, how do we get 300 apps this month? Because remember back in the day, our business rode on apps. If we could get apps, we can make money. It doesn't anymore, thank God. But that was where we were. And today, I'm like, you know, right now we're acquiring $500,000 to $700,000 a month in real estate. My questions before bed, I'm like, how do we triple that by the end of the year? How do we triple that? You know, we'll provide some of that money. Do we open up some investors for our real estate company? You know, how do we grow to, you know, instead of saying like, how do we get 3,000 leads a month? It's like, how do we double that in customers? I think another thing to think about is just people focusing on their vision, people focusing on what they want. I think a lot of people get confused because they have a vision and they feel really inspired and they feel really strong and they can do anything, and then they go out into the world and they begin to make that happen. They begin to align their behavior with that vision. But then setbacks happen and problems happen and people quit and clients ask for refunds, and then it's like all of a sudden they have to pay taxes. They have to pay taxes and they get lost, dude. Like I remember at the beginning, we were always getting lost in like, these are the problems and mistakes. And you can only, you know, focusing on your vision is like taking a hit of dopamine. It's like crack cocaine for the entrepreneur. You got to focus on your vision constantly. It's how we created the morning formula. It's how we created the productivity pack, is making sure that you are constantly getting that vision hit